Welcome back to the W number. So today we got some crazy reports. The conspiracy is real. They're overcorrecting so badly now to kind of make up for the hurricane that had already happened, and they've already, lost so much ground. I think that hold up, sorry. Let me pause that. So yeah, they're overcorrecting so much. We're gonna listen to a report by Kamala Harris, right? And then we'll talk about that report. But we've tracked down leads for the last few hours on this report, and it's just wilder and wilder, dude. Wait till you hear it. Judge for yourself. Actually, well,
No sound.
oh man, hold on, no sound. Dude, this is I fucking can't stand StreamYard, bro. Sometimes, brother.
Yeah, it's done it a few other times on you too.
So the what Kamala Harris is trying to do is she's trying to overcorrect, right? Um, she's trying to overcorrect and make it sound like nothing's they're dotting all their T's, they're crossing all their I's now. and
They're kind of, yeah.
now go ahead, bro.
They're coming. It's funny how she's coming out now, a week, 11 days after a massive hurricane just took from most of the reports you're seeing, well over 200 people's lives, and all the other houses and just other, people's items and everything that were destroyed, and how these people are saying they didn't get any information and they weren't warned soon enough or appropriately enough. And now you see videos like this from the president talking about all the work that they're doing on, a hurricane 10 days later.
Exactly, dude. Exactly. Let's let the people judge for themselves. We're gonna get it. We're gonna break it down too. So it's not just this, right? It goes into some crazy stuff like basically tattoo your arm so that we can identify your dead body later. It's like they're just overreacting in a way that the last storm was more powerful than this one. They said 20-foot surges on the last one. Now it's 15-foot surges on this one, but somehow this one's worse than the last one, and it's
Worst
gonna
one we
be
had in
worse.
100 years.
100-year storm, right?
You need. Listen to the orders you're getting from your local officials. They know what they're telling you, and they know what Milton is about to be. So please do that. The other point I'd make is that there's a lot of mis and disinformation being pushed out there by the former president about what is available, in particular to the survivors of Helene. And first of all, it's extraordinarily irresponsible. It's about him. It's not about you. And the reality is that FEMA has so many resources that are available to folks who desperately need them now, and resources that are about helping people get back on their feet and rebuild and have places to go. You are entitled to these resources. People are entitled to these resources, and it is critically important that people apply for the help that is there to support. That all of those resources were created for just these kinds of moments in an emergency situation, knowing that folks are entitled to have the relief that they so rightly need at this moment in time. So listen to your sheriffs around the places that have been impacted by Helene. Listen to your local sheriff who's going to tell you straight about what's available to you and how, for so many reasons and ways, there are no conditions attached to the relief that's available to you.
Governor DeSantis, NBC is reporting Governor DeSantis is ignoring your calls on hurricanes, resources, and help. How does that hurt the situation here?
Moments of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. people are in desperate need of support right now. And playing political games with this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish, and it is about political gamesmanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to do, which is to put the people first.
Madam Vice President, Milton's arrival, what does it mean for resources?
There's the meanest cold shoulder ever given on any platform ever. Right?
Yeah. She
Yo,
took one question about her, her opponents, her presidential opponents, one of his biggest supporters. That's all that one question was.
I think it's funny how she said that this has nothing to do with politics. It's not about the election, but Trump did this and Trump did that. And we're providing resources. But what resources are you providing? She provided not one fact about what they're actually doing and what FEMA is actually providing. She provided no information about where they are in regards to like North Carolina and Georgia and all these places hit, and what actual resources are on the ground for these people. She's just blanketing information, you know what I mean? And then saying it's not about politics, but resorting right back to politics. And then as soon as she makes her point, it's the cold shoulder, bounces. She has no real information she's trying to provide. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it literally sounded like she was giving a speech, a pre-written speech. And like, how was that one question not like she didn't know that was coming? She took one question, not about how to get the help or where to find the resources or who to contact or any of that. It was about how DeSantis is talking bad about them so she could comment on the other side. Like, wouldn't you would think that the questions would be about, this is what we need to do, this is how you can find us, these are the resources we're giving and how to contact us. She didn't give a website, a phone number. She said FEMA, but we all know no one's getting a hold of FEMA. Like, how are you getting a hold of them?
It's funny that she's making such noise about this hurricane now, because she's worried about the way it looks on her for the last one. You know what I mean? How many people died in the massive fallout from that situation. And they know that this is going to come down hard on them, right? Your daughter wants you to wave to her and her mom. So I'm just letting you know.
Okay.
She says you can't see the comments, but I think that you just weren't reading them at the time. But a lot of people are pitching in on this situation. So a lot of people. Another point that needs to be made is that people from all over the world are in Florida. You know what I mean? It's a tourist capital. And people have relatives from all over the world in Florida that they need to worry about. So it is something that we need to talk about, because if you're worried about your relatives and what's going on in North Carolina and stuff like that, what already happened, we need to stay on top of this situation so it doesn't happen again, right? In $750, we're going to get to that, right? So I'll get to it now, right? So they're saying that it's not just $750, that all these resources were being provided, that it's $2 million are being, sent to this situation, right? $2 million are being sent to this situation, but it really is $750 per person. And it doesn't matter to the individual that $2 million are getting sent down there. Not for nothing. That amount of money on a $1 billion bang up job, bro, right? There's more than $1 billion lost down there, right? There's got to be. You know what I mean? Like,
I'd like to see numbers on the percentage of people that actually were able to get their hands on the 750. It's very public about how that's there, but how do we even know who has gotten it, if anyone? I'd love to see those numbers.
Per family, saying so is that $750 per person or per family? From what I've heard, it's per person. But then again, we're also hearing Kamala Harris, say all these pretty things, the Democratic Party pointing the finger at the Republican Party over and over and over again, claiming it's not about politics, right? But I haven't heard anything coming from them other than politics, right? I haven't heard the Republican Party once point the finger at the Democrats. But why is it always that the Democrats have to make this some political maneuver? It's like they're worried so badly about staying in office that they did not report Helen. They didn't report the hurricane to the people when they needed
I
it
think
most.
it goes deeper than that. I think they withheld reporting it. It's not even that they didn't report it. I think they were too occupied with the other, whatever the other agenda is that they got going on, a presidential election, the Senate elections, the House of Republic elections, all the elections going on. They were just too preoccupied to care about one small area, even though
So
they
that
had
gets
the information.
Yep, that moves us right into the next topic, right? So, this all right. So this is let me first share the report on what's going on in this hurricane coming up right now. And what this meteorologist says will make you think twice about this situation. When a meteorologist says, "Dude, this is gonna be bad," it's probably gonna be bad. So listen to what this guy's got to say about this one.
When they last left, and the storm hasn't lost any intensity. And in fact, it's forecast, Jake, to get to 185 after midnight tonight, and then make landfall either as a Category 4 or a Category 3 very close to Tampa. When Helene hit the area, I know it went north of there, but the surge in Tampa Bay was 6 to 7 feet. The forecast surge in Tampa itself is now 10 to 15 feet. So I talked to a guy today that said, "Hey, man, I had 6 feet of water in my house." And I went, "Ugh, that's not good, because 6 is now going to be 10 or 15. So that house may not be there anymore." Dude, this is really, really a deadly storm that people are going to need to get away. If your local county emergency manager says you need to evacuate, now is the time. Unlike the storm that kind of Ian that kind of turned into Fort Myers, we have time this time. You have time to find some place to shelter. And it is going to be one, obviously for the record books, but we've never had a stronger storm, obviously in the Gulf of Mexico in the past couple of decades. The last storm that made landfall close to Tampa was 102 years ago. The last major hurricane didn't have a name, but that was 1921. This is a devastating event. People need to take precautions. You need to tell your relatives, "Hey, Uncle Joe, you need to get out of there. They told you to leave. It's time. You have to go somewhere." You don't have to go to North Carolina. You have to go somewhere away from that surge, away from that water, Jake.
All right, Chad Myers, thank you so much.
The race to get ready comes as many areas.
He's basically saying, "Oh, we have time this time," right? It's like, this time? What do you mean this time? You mean like last time where they didn't tell you that it was going to happen in Helen? It's kind of like you pick up the little innuendos and you kind
Did
of
you hear how he almost slipped up and said, Helen?
Huh?
Did you hear how he almost slipped up? He was like, this is like, he was going to say worse than Hurricane Ian, but he almost said Helene and then stopped.
Say hi to your daughter real quick.
Hi, Aria. I love you, baby.
So now let's read these reports, right? So this is, actually, you know what, going into the overcorrection that they make, right, and like how bad of an overcorrection it is, and like the way they're scaring people into leaving now. It's not just like, oh, it's gonna be a bad hurricane. It's like, draw your name on your arm and your social security number with a marker, because you're gonna wash up on the shore with no head, and we're not gonna be able to identify you, right? So let's look at this, because it makes so much more sense.
This is a crazy report, what the guy says.
Yeah.
We want to get you an up-close look at Hurricane Milton. This is powerful video coming from hurricane hunters who flew into the storm. It is impressive footage, and it gives you a glimpse at what is headed for this community. Let's watch.
So what this is an NOAA airplane sent out by the Air Force. It's called the Hurricane Hunters. They go and they fly into the hurricane and they pick up detailed data and use several different monitors for the same data, right, to produce a simulation. in order to get like a righteous track for the hurricane. But by their own accounts, they say that every simulation is different, even through a computer with the same exact data, right? So if every simulation is different, they can't properly predict exactly where the hurricane's going to go, and that's why you see that range on the meteorologist charts when it's like a little bit wider than it really is, because that's the range that it's getting on the simulations. But let's watch the rest of this video.
Can we grab my phone real quick? Yeah. Well.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that job.
Hit the sun. Holy crap. All right. Whew.
Yeah, damn is right, followed by nervous laughter. Very powerful video there. Imagine the force of those winds and all that rain hitting a community that's already been weathered by the storm. We actually want to get you a perspective from someone who is going to be not close to Treasure Island, roughly about 2 hours away in Sarasota, but is still concerned about the effects of Hurricane Milton. We have with us Eric Arroyo. He's a Sarasota County Commissioner. Eric, thank you so much for being with us. First and foremost, what is your chief concern about Hurricane Milton as you're hearing that it is flirting with Category 5 winds?
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show. We are in a state of emergency, and my biggest concern right now is that individuals living in Zone A, B, or C of the city are not going to evacuate. That is my concern, and they need to heed this warning because this is a 100-year storm. This is unprecedented. If you made it through Debbie, if you made it through Ian, this is unlike anything we've ever faced before, and it is heading right through us.
Sir, I wonder what you would say to residents like some of the folks in the building adjacent to where we're standing. These folks, I spoke to them a short while ago. They didn't want to go on camera, but they were weighing the idea of potentially riding out the storm here. What would you say to them at this moment now? We're at about 2 p.m., a day before the storm is supposed to hit. What's your message to them?
I'll tell them exactly what I told a close family friend who's riding it out in their home in a Zone A, right in the waterfront as this comes. I said, if you're going to ignore all the experts and every single evacuation order, get a Sharpie and write your name on your arm at least so that we can identify your body after.
No, that is a morbid alert at the very least. I do wonder, sir, we've seen piles of trash across Pinellas County, certainly. I know there are other parts of the west coast of the Gulf Coast of Florida that have seen this issue, debris left over from Hurricane Helene. Can you give us an update on the status, what that looks like in Sarasota? You weren't directly hit by Hurricane Helene, but I know that there were problems there because I have relatives in that area.
Yeah, many problems, and there is still some debris. I was checking my email just 2 seconds ago and heard it. Now, here is the problem. Our crew, our team at the city is working around the clock and working with the county, but we have less and less contractors willing to go out into the barrier islands, which are going to be the most impacted, to pick up this debris. So it's only basically government workers now, and at some point have to withdraw because we're taking into account the safety of our employees. So as of right now, it's just us. There's virtually no contractors willing to send their workers out into the barrier islands. We've sought the help of as much help as we can. The National Guard has sent us some troops that are going to help and be on standby. But it's a difficult situation with limited resources. Right now, all we can do is hope for the best, but prepare for the worst.
Absolutely, and we so appreciate the work that those emergency teams do. And the last thing you would want to do is unnecessarily put them at risk. Eric, I do have one more question before we go, because I've been speaking to people around the community today about the significance of not only having 2 hurricanes hit 2 weeks apart, but the way that Milton transformed. You had a hurricane, it wasn't even a hurricane, it was a tropical storm at one point, and then 24 hours later, in the warm waters of the Gulf, transforms into one of the top 10 most powerful hurricanes we've ever seen in the Atlantic. Does this sort of thing raise concerns for you about climate change and whether we're going to see more storms intensify this way in the future?
Well, we've been speaking to the experts, and what they tell us is that it's because of the warm water that creates the climate that creates these rapidly intensifying hurricanes. And you've heard of El Nino. What we have right now in the Gulf of Mexico is La Nina. It's the inverse of that, but it is warm waters that create this environment, and we're monitoring it. We're seeing what we can do. We don't have all the answers, but it's definitely something that's becoming more and more alarming, especially in a retirement state like Florida, a tourist state like Florida, and a place that many call home.
Yeah, it is certainly alarming for the future. Eric Arroyo, we have to leave the conversation there. Thank you so much for joining us, and please keep us posted if there's anything we can do to get a message out for you. Thanks so much.
Dude, I just see how much they're doing right now and how much they didn't do when Helene happened. Because like I've seen so many videos now about this hurricane coming, but I didn't see nothing when it came to Helene coming, right? And I've been looking back in the algorithm to see if I could find videos about warnings and stuff like that, and I couldn't find anything. So what I kind of want to move into is the so-called warnings that they provided, and then people's reactions about these warnings and like saying they didn't hear nothing about it, dude, right? And I think it kind of like really ties up their argument that they did everything they could and they provided all these warnings and let people know and they didn't heed it. It's like they're blaming the public for not listening. You know what I mean? That really gets under my skin, dude.
And they're like blaming the public for not listening then, but now, like you said, like I definitely heard nothing about the last hurricane up until it already hit. People were showing up dead, people lost their houses, but now it's everywhere. Not only is it everywhere, that that guy told his close family friend to put a use a Sharpie and write his name on his arm so they can identify his dead body. Like, who says that? Like, what?
Yeah,
The
they're really
insanity
they're trying to send a message home. They're trying to hammer it home.
Yeah.
They're doing damage control. They have to
That's
clean it
all
up.
it is.
Let that happen again. And plus, they have their hands so full with that last one. I think that they're going to have a big problem if this happens again, because they don't even have enough resources to take care of the first one. You know what I mean?
Did you hear like now on that last report, the guy kept talking about how it's only them. It's only the government helping them right now in Florida. Nobody else is there helping. Nobody else will help. It's just their government workers.
Word. You want to hear? Look at this. Like, this is what the myth busters are saying right now. Like, hold on. Let's do this real quick. I'm going to show you the myths, the myth busters what they're trying to say right now. So it says myth. FEMA is in the process of confiscating Helene survivor property. If I apply for disaster assistance and my land is deemed unlivable, my property will be seized. Fact, FEMA cannot seize your property or land. But yesterday, if you remember, when we played the video yesterday, you had those people saying that they're the ones donating the chainsaws, the water, the things that are going to those need areas, like the places where they need these specific items. And FEMA saying, no, we're diverting it. We're taking that. That's you're donating it to us. So therefore, we're going to use it for what we want to use it for. And it's going to go over here. And they're saying, people are saying they're going to get sent to the border instead to like take care of situations at the border. And, the government saying, no, we're sending it right to the, just a different place in the hurricane zone. But I think that they really are confiscating it and sending it to different places, because why would those independent people who have no reason to lie and are trying to offer assistance to the people who need it in the hurricane zone, why would they lie about the property that they're donating? It doesn't make sense to do that,
Yeah, and what's crazy is those people, what they were saying was they had already donated the stuff, saying I wanted to go to the hurricane people, to help, help them, free up roads or whatever it may be. And then after FEMA got the stuff, they were like, oh, well, you gave it to us. We can now do what we want with it. Because the people in those areas were like, we never saw any of that.
So someone commenting said that their family applied for the $750 cash assistance and they got $300. They got approved for a $300 loan instead of the $750, right? So I'm assuming,
loan?
Yeah, so like it's basically like a loan of the government. They're giving you money, so they apply for it like you would EBT or whatever. And I'm assuming that they're using different categories for how much money you can get, probably based on the money they want to put in their pocket, if you'd ask me. But that's just me. And this is what they're saying. Applying for sorry, I'm sick still. Applying for disaster assistance does not grant FEMA or the federal government authority or ownership of your property or land. When you apply for disaster assistance, a FEMA inspector may be sent to verify the damage in your home. If the results of the inspection deem your home uninhabitable, that information is only used to determine the amount of FEMA assistance you may receive to make your home safe, sanitary, and functional. I'd say if you lost, a table in your home, you're liable for that $750 donation because that's how much a table costs. You know what I mean?
At what point are these assessors getting to each house to assess these things?
They're not getting to those
Exactly.
houses.
That's what I mean. So you have to wait for. It's just they're like, yeah, it's up to 750 if you jump through all these hoops and wait 9 years, and you have 13 people in your family, and it's they'll say whatever people want to hear, but at the end of the day, it's what are they actually doing? Like what are they doing?
That's the thing is I've watched 100 videos, and I'm not even lying. I legitimately watched probably 100 videos on the situation, and I have not heard one politician, and it's only Democrats speaking, mind you. Only Republican news I can find is Fox 25. Fox 25 has kind of, they've been a little bit more informative. I'm not gonna lie, they really have, and I have a Fox 25 news report that I want to get to, but that's just not on topic at this moment. So I want to. I don't want to jump topics and get confused. So it's like, but the Fox 25 news is a little bit more detailed. They're providing things like, information that isn't being provided by Democratic news outlets, CBS, NBC, all those. They're just being very vague about it, and they're blanketing the situation, like just saying vague information, and it's like all positivity, man. Like you can't find one negative thing. Like that video of me and you watched, Steve. I think it was just like basically they set up in front of a bunch of work
utility trucks. Yeah,
and it's like it's so pretty down here. We're all shaking hands and holding each other's butts and telling each other it's great. You know what I mean? It's
Look at all the workers.
Yeah, it's like it's just a total nonsense scenario. Every other video you watch is like total devastation. The only people around are the locals, and they're clearing up logs and picking dead bodies out of the river and just doing anything other than work trucks. I haven't seen it. And I also watched another video that is talking about the borderlands of the hurricane zone, not to go into certain areas because there's literally like vagabonds like robbing trucks, robbing anything that goes into there. They're taking anything. They're marauders. They're robbing everybody, and independent donators are donating weapons to the civilians down there so that they can protect their homes. And it kind of plays into that gun law situation. It's like, okay, how is Democrats that's gonna dent their argument about taking away our guns because people are gonna be afraid, and fear's the biggest motivator, as we all know. Fear's the biggest motivator, and people are not gonna go for that. They're not gonna want to be left in their homes now, knowing that a serious scenario like this can happen and they could be left without any defenses. And the only thing they're going to have is the gun that they have in their closet or wherever, and to defend their home and their family. And I don't see people giving up their gun rights that easy anymore, dude. You know what I mean? I think there's going to be a lot of switching sides on that.
Yeah. Without question, they're not giving up. But obviously, with a presidential race coming up, it's you're gonna have people trying to capitalize on whatever narratives they can to push their agenda. Which right now where they're pushing, right, you're seeing it all over the news for the Florida hurricane and the amount of publicity that they're getting now, talking about the help that they're going to do and all the resources they're giving. But once again, it's like a little too late, and we don't even know if they're even giving resources in Florida, to be honest with you. Like, where's the proof of that?
I've seen a bunch of people filling up sandbags and shit, but that's about it, really.
I have no doubt that they are, because they have to. They're overcorrecting so hard, but it's just, you know, it's just silly to me. There's no news, no like real warning about what just happened, but now you can't get away from it.
So
you got
let's
the
check out this
president speaking
report,
on it.
right? Sorry, buddy. Let's check out this report. This is the race. Take action now. The inside the race to alert residents of Helena's wrath. Right. This is the report of the people not receiving the so-called unheeded warnings by the government. Right. Asheville, North Carolina. If she had known the rivers would swallow whole, towns and neighbors would be swept away, Lindsay Miller would have better prepared or left her home altogether, which is what I've said, right? If anybody got the same warnings that they're getting now, there's no way they're going to stay there, dude. And if they do, they're going to be very prepared, bro. I just don't see it happening. But her home near Boone, North Carolina survived, but there was no power, cell service, or water. Some neighbors filled buckets from nearby river to flush toilets and wash children with bottled water. Miller recalled hearing the ping of emergency phone warnings early on the morning of September 27th, just hours before the water rushed in. By then, it was too late. We knew there was a storm coming, but we didn't know it was going to be quite like that, she said. We really weren't prepared at all. As rescue teams combed rivers and towns for victims or survivors of the massive floods triggered by remnants of Hurricane Helene, communities grappled with the scope of devastation from the storm that caught many by surprise. The death toll across Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia as of Thursday afternoon was at 200 and expected to climb, which is now at like 220 something. In Buncombe County, North Carolina, the epicenter of the devastation that includes Asheville, authorities have counted at least 72 dead, and that was at that time in one town. Interviews with residents, experts, meteorologists, and local officials paint a picture of a storm rapidly intensifying, barreling further inland than usual with stunning ferocity. Authorities are just beginning the process of scrutinizing the alert systems that warn some, but not all residents of the incoming catastrophic floods and how systems could improve. But as we're going to read in the report next, how they manage those systems, this shouldn't have happened, right? So the historic disaster presented unique challenges for emergency officials trying to evacuate and safeguard residents in a mountainous region assailed by multiple floods and tropical storm winds. Residents from Tennessee to North Carolina complained they weren't given enough warning or any warning at all of the flood waters that overtook their homes and the dams nearing their breaking points. There was no warning, said Sunday Greer, a high school counselor at Sullivan East High School in Bluff City, Tennessee. Basically, we did not receive anything officially. The emergency planning in response to the floods from forecast to evacuations will be studied in the weeks and months ahead, said Russ Strickland, Maryland's emergency management director and president of the National Emergency Management Association. This one came with greater strength than they anticipated. He said, before it's all over, there will be some very serious conversations with NOAA, the forecast office of the NHC, state officials said. Did they miss something? Was there an indication? Of course there was, dude, right? Dire early warnings. As Helene gathered strength in the warm waters of Gulf Mexico, Buncombe County officials began taking phone calls from meteorologists as they tracked the storm's path and intensity. Helene was several days away from making landfall near Florida's Big Bend, but a cold front had recently swept through western North Carolina, unleashing storms and dumping more than 6 inches of rain in the mountainous region, swelling streams and saturating the ground. Helene was a large, strong, fast-moving storm heading right at them and promising to dump more water. The threat looked so dire that by Wednesday, September 26, Buncombe County officials declared a state of emergency for low-lying areas. Now, if you don't know, that's basically the day the shit hit. such as Asheville and Montreat. The county's director of communication, Lillian Govis, told USA Today. Later that day, they stood up an emergency operations center in the county emergency services building just north of Asheville. County Manager Averill Pinder, Assistant Emergency Services Director Ryan Cole, law enforcement and fire officials, among others, gathered to digest the data and forecast and decide what to do with all of it. Catastrophic flash flooding possible, warned a post on the Buncombe County Facebook site that day, repeating the warning in Spanish for its nearly 22,000 Latino residents. No evacuations were ordered. This is really about to get bad. Around the same time, Clay Chaney, a meteorologist at the National Weather Service's Weather Forecast Office in Greer, South Carolina, settled into his workplace and began tracking Helene's activity in the Gulf. Responsible for the upstate South Carolina, western North Carolina, and parts of Georgia, Chaney sensed mounting flooding would be the biggest threat to his region. He was all too aware of the thunderstorms raking the region. Known as predecessor events, the storm created dangerous conditions for Helene's path. A hydrologist in his office mulled over river gauge readings and other data to forecast flood threats. And for everybody who doesn't know, 57% of all deaths come from storm surges following the hurricane. By Tuesday, September 24th, Chaney and others began holding daily webinars, hour-long virtual chats with local and state emergency management officials in his region, including Buncombe County. At 3:30 p.m., more than 230 people dialed in as Chaney talked through a series of slides showing Helene's path, wind speed, and potential severe flooding as it reached the Appalachian Range. Low-lying areas needed to be ready for the worst-case scenarios, he told those on the call. Chaney patiently answered questions as the webinar stretched nearly an hour. The next morning, Wednesday, September 25th, Chaney reached his office and his heart sank. The rainfall totals from the earlier thunderstorms were as high as feared, up to 9 inches in some places. Fresh rains could create historic floods. He and others predicted that day rain from Helene's outer bands began dropping in the region. This dude didn't predict anything, bro. The NOAA predicts all that shit well in advance, within 5 to 6 days in advance, if not 7 days in advance, bro, as we're going to read next. We were like, oh crap, this is really about to get bad, he said. Rivers rise to historic highs. All the September 25th webinar emergency officials, Chaney stepped up the rhetoric comparing the upcoming floods to those of the Great Flood of 1916, a deluge that overran towns, killed at least 80 people in Buncombe County, and destroyed homes, factories, and railroads. His office also released posts and social media sites with dire predictions. Also, they're saying that that was a 20-foot surge, and that the new storm now, Milton, is going to be a 15-foot surge, which doesn't make sense to me in the way that they're saying that this is the most deadly storm that's going to happen, knowing that 57% of all deaths come from the storm surge, and that was a wilder storm surge than this one's going to be. It's kind of not adding up there, but urgent message. It began. This will be one of the most significant weather events to happen in the western portions of the area in the modern era. Record flooding is forecasted. Okay, there you go. It has been compared to the floods of 1916 Asheville area. That dude just said he was predicting it to be like that, he thinks, and then this dude says it's indefinite, right? So it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? The post added, we do not stress the significance of this event enough. Heed all evacuation orders from your local emergency managers. Throughout the region, river gauges were heralding unprecedented rises and forecasting historic highs. The gauge at French Broad River at Asheville showed the river rise more than 2 feet an hour, from 2.31 feet at 3 p.m. Wednesday to 10.19 feet at 9 a.m. Thursday. By Thursday, we're pretty much forecasting the worst case scenario, Chaney said, and letting our partners know about it. Not everyone was tuned in to the impending storm. Denia Zuniga, 44, a native of San Pedro Sula, Honduras, living about 10 miles east of Asheville and so in Swannanoa, had worked back-to-back shifts cleaning homes and had not been following the news. As she left work late Thursday, a coworker told her a hurricane was coming but didn't say where. She didn't think much of it. And that's the overall thing. It's like nobody really thought much of it because they didn't make a big deal out of it. Like nobody knew for the biggest storm in the century like they're talking about. Nobody fucking knew, dude. That night it rained, but otherwise nothing seemed out of the ordinary. She fed her kids, Estefany, 10, and Anthony, 18, and went to sleep with her husband, Pedro Rivera Hernandez, 43, of Honduras. Yo, it's funny how Spanish people always have 3 names, But her smartphone never rang with alerts. In Buncombe County, officials were heeding forecast warnings. At 4 p.m. Thursday, officials from Buncombe and Henderson counties, as well as the North Carolina Highway Patrol, held a virtual news conference over Zoom, broadcast over several official social media sites to warn residents of the forecast of catastrophic and historic flooding, and suggested for the first time that residents in the flood-prone area should evacuate. Pinder, the county manager, warned that an estimated 15,000 homes in the flood-prone areas could be hit by rising waters. We cannot stress enough the seriousness of this situation, he said. If you live in a flood-prone area, you should take action now, right now. As Helene's outer bands strummed into western North Carolina late Thursday and early Friday, dumping rain over the region, rivers swelled, quickly overflowing in some areas. At about 4 a.m., lights started to flick off across the county as power outages swept through the region. Emergency personnel, rivers in Buncombe County, overtaking their banks and rushing down roads, right? The fact is that if everybody got these reports, people would have left. Leave now, right now. You should take action right now. Like all these
I can
things.
tell you didn't have the president talking about it beforehand.
He didn't even know what hurricane they were talking about when they brought it up. He said, what storm?
He stumbled over it.
You fucking retarded, bro. Fact.
He has no clue what day of the week it is.
Going global, what's going on, dude? Your daughter said, "I love you, Dad." Mom is watching now. Yeah, awesome damage. And you know what? The biggest thing that's gonna happen is elections are gonna be fucked up, right?
Oh, without question. Yeah.
Yeah. This is definitely gonna throw a wrench in Kamala's game, dude. I don't see this going over well for her, but she thinks it's gonna. Now all these little, I don't know.
The problem is we might be talking about it right now, but you got to keep in mind, if you're not like watching YouTube or actively seeking out some of this information, you're not going to get it from the news. And if you are watching the news right now, all you're seeing is the Democrats all over the news telling people to get out of Florida. This is going to be a bad storm. But where was that prior to the last one? And we're hearing all these people, online or writing articles, whatever it may be, talking about how they didn't get proper warning. But, that next article you have clearly tells you that there was an agency out there ringing every bell it could, but, they can only do so much. They don't control media. They don't, they're not able to push it out there like that. So where was that information going?
Right, exactly, because they said they are available for live streaming. They have scientists on the ready. As soon as they are notified that it will make landfall, scientists are on the ready to live stream this information to any news platform globally. So for them to say they didn't have notice of it, it's like almost like they were quieting it, like hushing it, like just keep it low. You know what I mean? We're not trying to make too big of a deal out of it. Or they knew how bad it was going to be.
Which makes it even, honestly, more sinister, if they did know. Like, if they expected it to be that bad, that would, oof.
Okay, where is that? Let's look that up. I'm going to look up that thing and we'll stream Hannity live. I'm going to look it up right now.
Okay.
Because this is the type of shit that people and people are gonna they don't think that this is important, right? Or maybe I'm just talking bullshit, bro. It's like, but so Hannity is CNN. That's who Hannity is.
I'm not sure what network he's from. I do believe it's CNN, but I'm not sure. It could be CNN or Fox News, but very too drastic. Okay, hey.
Today, gas stations are running out of fuel.
No, I think that's a weather guy.
Fill up their cars and try to flee.
Where's
those riding out the storm are stocking up to power their generators. Let's get straight to CNN meteorologist Chad Meyer.
Where is that report? The Hannity report. Where is it?
I don't know.
Fox News. Okay.
It is Fox News. Okay. I knew he was one. That's what I said. CNN or Fox News.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a Trump guy. All of Fox is.
is it Milton charges toward Florida as Category 5 hurricane time, quickly running to evacuate? That there?
I don't think any of those are live. If Hannity, I don't know what he's on. I don't know what is he doing.
It's a little bit of help, you know, saying where Fox 25 news channel. I get that Fox 25 is definitely a news channel.
Let me do this.
Okay, yeah. Wish I could use some real help here, dude, but you know, it's okay. I'm gonna find it.
I'm looking it up right now.
Sean Hannity. Okay. It's funny, dude. Like,
Were you able to find it? I don't know if that's right or not.
Hurricane Milton tracker, dude. Like, I don't know, bro. Fucking.
I honestly have no clue, buddy.
Here,
I try not to watch things.
Okay, I got the Fox 25 YouTube channel. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay. Search the terms real quick. Boom. There's nothing about him being live right now.
It could be like honestly on. I can check it. Like on TV live. Was that maybe that's what he meant? I don't know.
Usually they have that on YouTube too.
Where you can go live to what they're showing on Fox News at the moment.
Hey, what's going on, Brian, bro? How you doing tonight, dude? What's up? What's up, Little Red Eyes, bro? Yeah, we're just talking about this hurricane and we're fucking looking for the Sean Hannity live thing that someone said, but don't want to tell me exactly where they found it because they're trying to hide it or something. I don't know. Okay, well, I got this one.
As Florida is bracing for Hurricane Milton, multiple states, they are still trying to recover. Storm absolutely devastating mountain communities in western North Carolina, especially historic flooding. I mean, entire towns have been wiped out. Our very own Sarah Carter has been there numerous times now on the ground in North Carolina in these areas that have been so hard hit and affected. And she joins us tonight with 5 local residents who have had their lives upended by Hurricane Helene. Sarah, I just, you can introduce everybody, and I just really have one question. I want them to respond to the president saying every need has been met, everybody is happy, and are they happy with Joe and Kamala's response to the hurricane?
What do the states in the storm zone need, Mr. President?
Sorry?
What do the states in the storm zone, what do they need after what you saw today?
Oh, in the storm zone?
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering what storm you're talking about. They're getting everything they need. And they're very happy across the board.
Sean, I got to tell you, I'm here in Swannanoa. You can see the devastation behind me. I just heard what President Biden said, and I can tell you this. I'm not going to tell you in my own words. I'm going to let them tell you for themselves the response from the federal government. But we had an opportunity today. We actually flew over Chimney Rock, Lake Lure, completely devastated. I don't even know if there's a word to describe what I witnessed. It's nothing short of tragic. People lost their lives. Their homes went down the river. It was actually so devastating that there was a geological shift in the river. So where the river had actually been at one point, it actually shifted to another area within the community. So an entire golf course was gone, a mini golf, Restaurants toppled over. The streets were covered with debris. But there was one thing that was certain, and one thing that I saw. It was residents. It was firefighters. It was law enforcement. It was the sheriffs. It was people coming out helping one another. And here's some of those people right here. They came with us because they want the American people, Sean, to know the truth. I've got Newland Mayor here. It's Derek Roberts. I've got the coroner from Avery County who is with me, John Millen. Oh, I've got David Calder, real estate executive who lost his business, your home. And I'll go back to you. I was able to see your business from the helicopter. It was completely demolished and sitting in the river. And Jimmy Sizemore, my gosh, you lost your entire home. It came right off the cliff, Sean. His entire home, his life's investment. It was out of the flood zone, came right off the cliff. I want to start first right here with Derek, Mayor Roberts. Talk a little bit about how you and your family experienced that night when Hurricane Helene came in. I know you were with your daughter, you were with your children. What happened?
Yeah, it turned ugly quick. It went from some rain and some wind to a tree in our bedroom, and our basement was flooding, and my wife grabbing our daughter Tatum and our grandkids and Isaac, and they took off. I got on the phone with USA right away, right in the middle of it. It was just awful. It was just shocking.
Let me ask you this before we go on to you, John.
Yeah.
Did you get in touch with FEMA right away? Was there any government officials that you've seen over these days since Hurricane Helene devastated your home? Has anybody been here to help you? Because this is the big question. Sean just played a clip of President Biden saying that you all are getting everything you need.
What is FEMA?
Right.
I mean, it's literally what is FEMA? So my daughter, whose house got completely wiped out, she has no flood insurance, meets with a FEMA person, applies for everything she doesn't get the $750 that Kamala says that she's supposed to get, gets approved for $300 for personal items. What is that going to do? That's literally what she got. Her entire first floor is wiped out. We hauled everything off. It's gone. So what is FEMA? And being a mayor,
so they didn't even give her the full $750.
They didn't even give her $750. Denied the $750.
They gave her $300.
They gave her $300. That won't even cover what's in the refrigerator.
Okay.
Sean, you're the coroner in Avery County. So you know, Sean, he would have the information on the people in his county that have either been missing or that have either been reported dead, unfortunately, due to Hurricane Helene. Can you talk a little bit about that first?
Yes, I can. Thanks for having us, Sarah. As of yesterday, we had reported 4 confirmed deaths. Not a hard figure on missing at this point. Avery County is a weekend tourist destination. We don't know who may have showed up and is unaccounted for that didn't tell anyone. There are areas we're still looking. We have urban search and rescue and cadaver dogs and teams from Pennsylvania, New York City Police, Fire. The outpouring of individual agencies and people just coming down and helping us has been wonderful. Citizens helping citizens, neighbors helping neighbors is how we've gotten by. The initial response was very slow, and I understand that no one could prepare for this, but on the 4th day,
you're National Guard, retired National Guard, so you understand what response should be.
Right.
Was it what it should be?
Well, the motto of North Carolina National Guard is give us 24 hours, we'll give you an army. I retired from the Guard as an MP First Sergeant, did 4 disaster missions, retired police chief. It was very slow. I finally contacted State Senator Warren Daniel, who has been assisting our area. We're overlapping legislative districts to get help. He finally contacted the National Guard, but he asked me, what do you need? We originally had a handful of soldiers in Banner Elk, and I said, we need more than a handful. We need military police, doctors, nurses, medics, water purification technicians, general soldiers.
What about FEMA?
FEMA and engineers and heavy equipment. What we're doing in their stead, and some finally did roll in, but we're just getting volunteers coming in with equipment and helping people. So,
but what President Biden said, is that the case?
I'm certainly not going to call the President of the United States a liar, but I've seen no evidence that it's functioning the way he's given a glowing recommendation of.
Absolutely. Sarah, I have a question.
Okay, Sean has a question. Sean?
So I just want to know, what is their message to Kamala Harris and Joe Biden? Because, you know, I'm hearing people that have had their lives uprooted. There was no help that we saw at all for a full week. What would they like if What would they want to tell Kamala Harris, who now clearly wants to politicize this? What message do they have as she goes on, call her daddy, call me daddy, call whatever daddy, Stern?
There they go, dude. Kamala Harris politicizing it. It's like everybody can see right through her bullshit, dude.
Yeah. Well, let's keep it, I'm not a Kamala fan by any way, shape, or the form, but this is doing the same thing. Like they're pushing an agenda. But, clearly, without question, the only reason why they even have the opportunity to push this narrative is because they dropped the ball. They messed up, and now they're trying to cover up, and by them trying to cover it up, it gives them the opportunity to really push that. Like, look, they fucked up.
I wonder if anybody's ever covered like every little piece like this. Hold on, let's play the rest of this real quick. Couple seconds.
View and Colbert, and she's not in North Carolina. What's their message to her?
So frustrating. And I'll go to you, David, for this question from Sean. What would your message be to Vice President Kamala Harris and to the White House? What do you have to say to them? I mean, she's spent time on, these shows, podcasts. You haven't seen the response. I know I've been up to Chimney Rock. I've never seen such devastation in my life. It looks like a war zone. I know people lost their life up there as well. What would your message be to her in the White House? Sean would like to know.
Where are you? Where are you? These people have lost their homes. They've lost their businesses. They've lost everything, and they need some support. They need help. And $750 is not much help.
And some people didn't even get the 750. So there's a lot of people that couldn't even apply for it because, Sean, there's no connectivity up here. We can't get connectivity in the mountains. Unless there's Starlink, you have absolutely no connectivity, and people can't. Jimmy, what is your message to the White House? Sean would like to know. You lost your home. You lost everything. And the insurance may not cover it.
Yeah, I lost my home. My home was still standing. It was a little different than the rest of my neighborhood. Our neighborhood lost 4 homes, just washed away and wiped out. But my home was on an 80-foot cliff, and it was standing. And I have a photo of it standing the next day after the storm. There were still winds coming through and everything. And later that day, it fell off the cliff. And I contacted FEMA, and they were easy to get a hold of. They called me back, but while I was talking to FEMA, they told me they'd have to meet me at my property.
And a lot of them didn't even make their way up to the property.
No, they haven't been able to access the property. But while I was talking to them, I was driving down the road, and the FEMA person told me before I hung up, he said, well, we're categorizing this as a mudslide.
So
but they
Sean,
haven't even been to my property yet, and they've already categorized it to where my insurance won't give me anything.
Sean, this is important. What's happened for a lot of people is that FEMA has been categorizing before they've even seen it as mudslides, so they're not covering. They're saying the Hurricane Helene victims. It's a tragedy all the way around, Sean. We're going to be out here all week. I can tell you this. The community is what's together on this, and community helping community and neighbor helping neighbor. And everyone is frustrated with the White House and with FEMA. And for the most part, they feel abandoned. Sean?
So it's funny. Let's see whose political standpoint's going to rise above the other on this one. Honestly, I mean, if this is politics 101,
yeah,
they make arguments on one side and the other and see who comes in the middle. But if it was just all a friendly game and lives weren't at stake, it'd be one thing. But this is like, we're like fighting over the bones of a fucking society, dude. Like,
it's true though. Yeah. Well, look at what the Democrats did once they beat Trump in the last election, where Trump made it such a big deal about blocking our borders. He wanted to support the American public. As soon as he lost office, they just talk about it at the biggest overcorrection of big overcorrections. They're like, oh, we're not going to stop immigrants from coming in. Just open the borders and everyone can come in and we'll give them money. Like no background check, no nothing. Everybody. And now it's a huge, huge problem But yet, same thing. Look at the stuff that happened up in Colorado and a lot of places over the country, but same thing as far as not getting any media attention.
Honestly, that's part of this whole thing is the border, and it's like they're saying that funds are being diverted away from the situation for the situation at the border, but no one can really put a finger on exactly what funds and where it's going yet. I haven't seen anything yet. I mean, anyway, and I think it's funny that they're saying that there's no troops being diverted away, but it's like you have a certain amount of troops to take care of emergency situation. If there's a bunch of them at the border, there's obviously troops diverted from a situation that needs
Exactly.
attention like this. So it's not like there is no troops being diverted for the border, like they're trying to clean it up and say there's definitely troops being diverted for the border because they need troops at the border, but we need troops here. These people
And
are
think
getting
about the money too. It's the amount of money that's being spent on, the what is it that they get? The funding for, like, when the immigrants come in, they get housing, they get food, they get, a monthly stipend, whatever else it is. On top of that, the amount of money that we're sending overseas to Ukraine and Israel. It's just all that money could be used somewhere else. Like, I don't think they would be saying that guy lost his house from a mudslide if they had the funding to at least be like, oh yeah, that mudslide was definitely caused by flooding from a hurricane.
Right, right, exactly. They're trying to make it sound like it was something else, dude. Yeah. So let's read what this is the report that I was gonna get to and I got super sidetracked, right?
NOAA?
Yeah, the NOAA report on hurricane forecasting, right? This is how they forecast a hurricane and what they do when the hurricane gets forecasted and why something like Helen should never have happened. Because if this is true, which I'm assuming a scientific research site is true over the politicians and what they're saying, then this should have been reported and people should have knew about it well in advance. So forecasting the hazards of a hurricane and the potential impact starts with data. Hurricane specialists at NOAA's National Hurricane Center, which is the NHC, which is the thing they use to send out the Air Force planes, whatever, but analyze satellite imagery and other observations and computer models to make forecast decisions and create hazard information for emergency managers, media, and the public for hurricanes, tropical storms, and tropical depressions. Key data come from NOAA satellites that orbit the Earth, continuously observing tropical cyclones from start to finish. Polar orbiting satellites fly over the storm about twice a day at a lower altitude, carrying a microwave instruments that reveal storm structure. If there's a chance the cyclone will threaten land, the NHC sends U.S. Air Force Reserve and NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft to fly through the storm to take detailed observations. NHC's hurricane specialists also analyze a variety of computer models to help forecast tropical cyclones. Each storm is different and no one model is right every time. So the specialist's experience with these different models is crucial to making the best forecast. On average, the NHC forecasts are more consistent and have lower errors than the individual global models used in track forecasting. Before a system forms, NHC issues tropical weather outlooks every 6 hours to discuss areas of disturbed weather and their potential for development for the next 7 days. The tropical weather outlook is issued routinely from May 15th until the end of the hurricane season, which is November 30th. So from May 15th until November 30th is the legitimate hurricane season. From 1990 to 2022, a fact is that 325 is the average number of tropical cyclone advisories issued in the Atlantic. So when a tropical cyclone threatens the U.S. coast, the NHC confers with meteorologists at NOAA's National Weather Service weather forecast offices in the path of the storm. So they have ones all over the world, and they contact the one that's in the path of the storm to coordinate any necessary watches and warnings in those communities. Every 6 hours, this is real important. Every 6 hours, NHC will issue updated text and graphics, all available on hurricanes.gov. If anybody wants to watch or see them, I'm going to put that link down below after I do this video. Hurricanes.gov, that include track and intensity forecasts for the next 5 days. So they knew about it 5 days in advance. Every single time, every 6 hours, there's a 5-day advance report with new information saying where the hurricane's going. Storm surge watches and warnings, coastal tropical storm and hurricane watch warnings for wind, along with the chances of and time of arrival of tropical storm force winds at specific locations. A potential storm surge flooding map, peak storm surge graphics, and storm surge watch/warning graphics are included. The NHC also posts the same information on social media to ensure a wide distribution. When watches or warnings are posted for the U.S. coastline, the NHC opens a television media pool to give live interviews to national news outlets and local TV stations in the path of the storm. NHC also provides live streams ahead of the television media pool to provide information on potentially threatening storms to the general public, which is kind of the point right there, dude, right? This whole report leading to that one paragraph. When watches or warnings are posted for the U.S. coastline, the NHC opens a television media pool to give live interviews, meaning that the scientists from this fucking this is a U.S. Department of Commerce section. So it's like as soon as these things start happening, it's like, well, they have plenty of fucking warning.
With more than enough warning there, and they're giving out. Well, in their statement there, they're letting you know that, hey, so they're pushing the information to the sources that need it, saying, hey, this storm's coming. We have information on it, and with that, they said they send out the graphs and the videos and the like the projections of it could be this bad. There's a percent that it's going to be this bad or this bad or this bad, but with that, they're sending you sources so the local news, local radio, or whatever can connect with somebody to give warnings. When me and you were talking about this earlier and we were Googling it, the only warnings I could find online, video-wise, was from this organization, the NOAA. That was pre-storm. Every other thing, all the other ones was after the storm.
And it's funny how they label it too. Like, see how they're labeling it like it's pre-storm, and then every time we watch the video, remember it was like, oh, warnings of Helene, and it's like 11 days ago. It's like right when the storm hits, and
they're talking about the flooding. Yeah,
it's after the storm. It's fucking weird. It's like, dude, it's like they're trying to cover up the fact that they didn't warn people, or that and it's like they almost knew that. Like, it's like they had this all leveled out before it happened. So like they're like, we're gonna cover it up. And we're going to have these videos ready almost like right away so that we can say we did, or it'll throw enough disinformation out there to make people think we did.
And that's right there. You just hit it. The disinformation. It confuses enough people, which will then confuse more people, and then with that disinformation, they're heavily hitting this preactive warning in Florida. Oh, everybody get out of there. Look, hey, we're here warning you. Look at what we do. Obviously, this is what we do. We would have did it last storm if we knew. Like, this is what we do. Clearly, we did it. So,
well, there's a lot of other things that we didn't get a chance to cover, but I'm going to cover one more thing before we head out because it's important to know how they gauge a hurricane, right? So, a Category 1 hurricane is 74 to 95 miles an hour. A Category 2 hurricane is 96 to 110 miles an hour. A Category 3 hurricane is 111 to 129 miles an hour. A Category 4 hurricane is 130 to 156 miles an hour. A Category 5 hurricane is greater than 157 miles an hour. This is a Category 5 hurricane, which is 180 miles an hour at this moment in time. And it is, bro, because you will not find any videos pre hurricane. That's what Matt just said, that it was so weird. There wasn't much about it then. I hear more and more dead. You know what I mean? And it's true. There was nothing going on before this. I didn't hear anything. Not like this one. Nope.
Exactly. Now that they're all over it. And you can turn on the TV, go online, anywhere. You're seeing some type of, warning about this new one. that the overcorrection is just, it's so far onto the other side. Like they're not even, slow stepping it. They're full on heading right into like, hey, we need to, like we were talking about before. What's going to be great is to see the aftermath of this storm. Is this upcoming storm going to be anywhere close to as bad as they're saying?
Yeah, and you know what's funny is this kid just so before I get to this comment right here, right? Brian Mahoney said it's sad they gave away all that money and they can't even begin to handle the last storm, and now they got another one coming in. It's like I feel bad for those people, dude. I mean, this is just out of control. They're just one thing after another, dude. And it's like, and then this Matt said that maybe it's weather manipulation. I've heard theories on weather manipulation.
I have too, yeah.
Guide weather or like heat up the fucking, like, you know what I mean, like massive.
Like in Dubai, they make fake clouds to make it rain because it's so dry in the desert there. They literally like make fake clouds, rain clouds, and it rains. So,
dude, the dynamics, man, the dynamics, dude, it's crazy,
it's
bro.
crazy. It really is. And there's no way we know, their biggest leaps in scientific breakthroughs. Like we don't find that stuff out until they've already used it and manipulated it to their benefit, whoever it may be. But
and the big thing to point out here is that if me and you, a convict that did 17 years in prison, and a local Massachusetts guy that did time in prison and, lived his life the hard knock way, right? If we can figure these things out, you know what I mean? And yeah, we have intelligence. We're above average natural intelligence, but
the information's out there,
Yeah, it's just you got to really dig to find it. That's all.
The problem is that so many people now are just so willing to follow a narrative instead of actually taking a second or a step back and thinking on their own. Wait a second, does that make sense? Or does that seem right?
Yeah.
So many we've been trained, especially a younger generation, where all they know is YouTube short clips or whatever it may be, and to think outside of the box or go against the grain, the narrative is so like out of custom nowadays.
Yeah,
where
it's very rare.
it's weird. Yeah. And people should do it. You need to do it. It doesn't mean you have to be against everything, but it doesn't mean you have to go with everything. You're allowed to take a second and think, does that make sense? Does that sound right? That's all it is. But less and less people do it.
I think the Freedom of Information Act, though, Matt, is more of a criminal record type of thing.
It is.
Yeah, I'm sure there's other information, but I don't think that's.
Well, you can I think you can like apply for certain informations on like businesses or court cases, whatever it may be, with the Freedom of Information Act. I'm not 100% on what it is, though.
So let me point out this too, is that I was thinking this before too, right? Biblical. Is this the end of the world? I mean,
sounds it, right?
200-year storms and cold, or whatever the heck they're calling them, back to back without even a chance to clean up. Global warming, so much going on.
War in the Middle East.
Dude, there's so much going on in my life alone. I can only imagine what's going on in all these other people's lives individually and just like how it builds up. And then the overall, everybody's problems. If you look at just one person's problems and just like add them to everybody else, it's like overwhelming to me.
Oh yeah.
It's why it's like I try to look at all the positives and stuff like that, but it's like been so hard for me lately, bro. It's a very hard thing. Like, yeah.
It is. I get that completely. It's I've struggled with that for a long time anyways, but just even that alone takes a certain level of effort that is easily lost in the mundane things of working every day or having a certain schedule. Like we have to make time for that, for any type of betterment. It could even just be putting a smile on your face every day, being nice to one person, holding the door behind, small little things that can, enlighten your existence. Because it's so easy, especially now where everything is at our fingertips, all the death and rape and all the awful things that are going on in the world, which has always been there, but now it's so in our face. You got to take the time.
The social media makes it more like you know about it, rather than where it's like ancient. You're like, no one's sending letters all over the place about it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
It also does seem like it's more going on now, man. I just can't help to think it's got to be more happening now than it was before. But man, dude, it does seem type of biblical to me, dude. It does, man. Just
Without
everything.
question.
Yeah. But it's been great tonight, guys. I love you guys, man. Wish more people would show up and hit that like button for me. Please hit the like button on the way out. I'm
And
not
share the
gonna-
video.
Yeah, and share the videos, bro. That goes a long way in getting the message out there. And just, Brian, man, salute to you guys. Everybody who shows up and shows me love and, the support that I get, it helps me want to get better. For your information, I made $57 last week, and I spent more than 57% of my day every day working on videos and video information and preparing for things to make things a little bit better for you. And it's not easy, bro. It's not easy to make these videos engaging and be smooth myself, because I have a problem.
It takes work.
Yeah, it does. It takes a lot of work, and I have ADHD like a damn motherfucker, So I fight that for y'all. But base it on Israel. Everything's Israel's fault. No, but there's a lot going on.
Back to the biblical stuff. The apocalypse. Not the apocalypse. The 4 horsemen. Like, isn't the first sign of the end of days war in Israel?
Yeah, one of them anyway.
It's one. I don't know if it's the first. I just know it's one of them.
Yeah, it does all. It seems like it all fits right into each other. Bry, you're showing up very, very late, Bry. Don't appreciate that. No, I'm just fucking with you, Bry. I love you, man. I've been real sick lately, guys, and like even my brain is fogged up. My throat's still sore, and I'm trying to like find the energy to do this as well as I usually do, and I'm hoping I do. But I appreciate all the love and support, guys. I really do. Please hit the like button on the way out. Share the videos. Please just hit the little arrow. Send it to a friend. Tell them to send it to a friend. If everybody sends it to 100 people, even if they send it to 5 people, whatever. I send it to my whole Instagram list. Just send. What is it gonna? What does it bother? You know what I mean?
Doesn't hurt no one.
Yeah,
and it
brother.
could help someone. Hurts no one, but could help someone.
Yep, and it's free. Number one,
And
big
it's
thing, free. Yeah.
And it shows support to the channel.
Yep, fact. That's the biggest thing is the support. Just get. Oh, I hit 2,000 subscribers today, guys. Woo! 2,000 subscribers, dude. 2K.
That's a big milestone. That's good.
Bro, the journey's been crazy too, man. It's like I don't know many other channels have grown as fast as I have. I know many channels that have been working for 14, 15, 20 years to get where I've gotten and haven't gotten there yet. And I'm growing, and I love that shit about this. And I love that people really fucking see how like
the work.
Yeah, the work, and just the inspiration behind it, dude. Like,
yeah, that's what drew me in.
Yeah, I appreciate that, dude. I really fucking do, bro. There is signs everywhere, bro. I see them everywhere on a daily basis, but I'm very religious, so it's like could be just that my vision is blurred by my beliefs, but at the same time, I think there is signs.
But even if you're not religious, if you can take the time to see him, there's no question there's something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be something, dude. We're not here by accident. Air, you can breathe the oxygen. Your body accepts the oxygen. It's the exact molecule that you need in order not to be poisonous or die or fucking float away, right? So there's just too many things that are coincidence, and coincidental, whatever. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for the congratulations. Please hit the like on the way out. I should give y'all a chance to hit them hearts and hundreds, and been a kind of a small show in here, so maybe I will. I'm gonna play actually, you know what? These songs cost mad money, bro, and I'm just not making enough to be playing them all the time like that. So I do have to pay for the license for the songs that you guys hear. So it does cost me money, and if I don't make any on the live stream, it's hard to, keep doing that. But there is no such thing as a coincidence, dude. I love you guys, man. I love you. I'm gonna take off for the night, but yeah, brother. Thank you, Low Red Eyes, bro. You already know, guys. Fall River.
I'm in Fall River right now. That's funny.
Yeah. Fall River. You get the fall, you fuck with the fall, you get the river, they used to say in the county. All
I
right,
used to
guys.
do the, shoot dog.
Yeah. Smoke coke, shoot dope.
Yeah.
All right, guys. W number.